I made a pledge that I was never going to live a life that wasn't really symbolic of who I was. I wasn't going to live a life that was less than what I was capable of living. This is John Lee Dumas of Entrepreneur on Fire, and I share hope.
Welcome to I Share Hope, the podcast where world leaders share their real stories of hope and how you can use actionable hope to start changing your life today. And now, here's your host, Chris Williams.
All right, so John Lee Dumas is with us today. He's the founder and host of Entrepreneur on Fire, awarded Best of iTunes in 2013. John interviews today's most inspiring and successful entrepreneurs 7 days a week and has been featured in Forbes, Inc., and Time Magazine. That's incredible. John has turned Entrepreneur on Fire into a business that generates over $200,000 a month and shares all the details via his monthly income report at eofire.com/income. John also founded the #1 podcasting community in the world. I'm a part of that. Podcasters Paradise, a community where over 1,400 podcasters learn how to create, grow, and monetize their podcasts in a supportive environment. Entrepreneur on Fire generates over 850,000 unique listens a month. And these 700 plus episodes and much more that I have found so helpful are all at eofire.com. John, it is so fun to have you sharing hope with us today. Give me a little more about you, and then we will jump into our 5 questions we ask every guest.
Well, you nailed it. I mean, thank you so much for that incredibly powerful intro. And I mean, just having this chat, kind of lights my fire. I just love podcasting in general, Chris. And I can definitely share with you that I am prepared to ignite and to talk all things hope today because, for me, everything was based off hope. I'm just a country boy from the state of Maine who grew up for the first 18 years of his life there, went to college on an Army ROTC scholarship, spent 8 years in the Army, 13 months of which I was deployed in Iraq. Wow. And afterwards, I tried a bunch of different things in the civilian world, from law school to corporate finance to commercial real estate. Nothing clicked. It was 6 years of failure and setbacks and obstacles, but couple of years ago, at the age of 32, I launched Entrepreneur on Fire, and here we are almost 800 episodes later, wow, having won Best of iTunes in 2013, kicking out a killer episode 7 days a week.
It's incredible. The pace you keep is incredible. I'm podcasting a little more and more, trying to get this thing going, and it's going, but I'm telling you, it's dragging me along like a team of wild horses. I can't imagine doing 7 days a week. I'm impressed. You guys have a lot of strong team behind you and some
for sure
incredible organization. Well, here's how we do this, John. I ask 5 questions to all of our guests, and we are doing a huge research project on hope and sharing it with the world. So question number 1, what's your definition or best quote about hope?
So my favorite quote on hope is by a man named Elbert Hubbard. And he stated, "A little more persistence, a little more effort, and what seemed hopeless failure may turn to glorious success."
Wow.
That is hope.
That is hope. Well done. I might have you repeat that one in a minute because I think that's going to come into play on another question. That's great. Okay, so looking back in your life, tell me who's been the most hopeful in your life, or I guess better yet, how has that person delivered hope to you in such a powerful way that's just spurred you on? You're obviously a person that delivers a lot of hope to a lot of people. Who's been back there for you?
Well, I want to build off of what we just talked about because that is my answer for this next question here. And it's the 800 plus guests that I've interviewed for Entrepreneur on Fire. That is who has shared the most hope with me because every single one of them shares a failure story, shares an obstacle, a challenge that they faced. And with a little less persistence, with a little less effort, that what seemed to be a hopeless failure would have remained just that, a hopeless failure. But because these individuals had more persistence, had more effort, and just stared failure down, they've all now turned into wildly successful entrepreneurs who are living a life on their terms. And it's amazing to see. And so every single time that I get to get on a call with one of my guests, it's absolutely somebody that just shares the most hope with me. And, people ask me all the time, like, John, who's your mentor? And I say, my mentor is every single one of my guests of Entrepreneur on Fire who have been through the ringer and back. Because I don't have people on my show who haven't failed. There's a pretty lengthy application process to be on Entrepreneur on Fire. I have over 100 inbound requests every single month.
Wow.
And I only bring people on that have had to deal with serious failure, serious struggles, and are willing to share that story, that are willing to share that journey. That is an absolute requirement. And hearing their stories every single day as I'm interviewing them brings me that hope that I need and that inspiration to keep moving forward. And that's exactly my answer.
John, that's a great answer. And it comes up a lot in the sense of relationships. So many people come back to, it's the relationships I have, it's the people around me. And it always is the people who are the most authentic. And I've listened to so many of your shows, and that point of failure and the end of the line for those people, I love hearing that, because I often wonder, is anybody else dealing with what I'm dealing with today? And somebody else is, and somebody else has done it, and you can follow in their footsteps. Nice. All right. So in your life, give me the background, set the stage. When is a time in your life when you've had just everything going the wrong way and you've just had to dig in and use hope to come back and stay on it?
Well, something that I alluded to, albeit briefly, while I was kind of giving my little life story, was my 13-month tour of duty in Iraq. And I'll tell you straight up, Chris, is that was a very difficult 13 months. It was during 2003, 2004, the bloodiest years of the Iraq War. And here I was, a 23 and 24-year-olds lieutenant in the U.S. Army in charge of 4 tanks, 16 men. I was in the thick of it. They called it a lieutenant's war for a reason. It's because we were the people that were out fighting the fight and making things happen. And, because of that, because we were in the thick of things, of my 16 soldiers, only 12 made it back. 4 made the ultimate sacrifice. And, that's a really difficult thing for a 23, 24-year-old to really deal with, because that was my responsibility. These were my men, and I did not bring them all home, and that's been something that I'll continue to have to deal with for my entire life. But one thing that I will say is that I had to stand at the foot of every one of their coffins and kind of reflect on the ultimate sacrifice that each and every one of these heroes has made to this country and to freedom in general. And I made a pledge that day, and all 4 of those days, that I was never going to live a life that wasn't really symbolic of who I was. I wasn't going to live a life that was less than what I was capable of living. And I knew that I had a lot to give, and I knew that I had a lot of inspiration to share, and I refused those 4 occasions to ever let myself fall into the trap that so many of us find ourselves in, stuck in a cubicle 9 hours a day for some soul-draining job, inspiring no one, making somebody else rich, doing pointless work. And, I wasn't going to let myself get there. And there was a couple times, Chris, that I found myself there. I found myself in those situations. And it was that pledge that I made to those 4 soldiers that gave me the courage to walk into my boss's office and hand over that resignation. It gave me hope. It gave me hope that I was going to be able to really find my true calling and not get sucked into the life of, what so many people find themselves get chained into. And that was it. I mean, that was really what changed everything and allowed me to quit many different career paths. And again, it didn't come quickly. It was over the course of 6 years of struggle, of drifting, of quitting, of failure, of setbacks, of mistakes. It was 6 tough years, but continuing to have the resolve and the hope that if I just kept on searching, I would find it. And eventually, after 6 years of searching, and at the age of 32, I did with Entrepreneur on Fire.
Wow. First of all, thanks for your service. I know those are hard months, and I really do appreciate your time. And
thank you.
The story you get to carry with you the rest of your life that is giving a bunch of us a lot more life. So thanks.
Thank you.
It's a great story, and it's a great point of hope in a lot of ways. And I think the taking action and being able to translate that hope that you were generating not only with the guys out there in the field, but coming back and having to go through the heartache of losing somebody, losing 4 guys, and turning that into a promise inside your own heart that I will do something that's great, that's the size great that you are, which is phenomenal, and move on that, even if it took 6 years later. It's action. Boy, hope without action is really not hope at all, and you're putting it together. True. All right, question number 4. You're doing so much these days publicly, so you can go anywhere you want with this. How are you sharing hope on a daily basis with people around you?
So there's another quote that I'm a huge fan of by Albert Einstein, and that quote is, "Try not to become a person of success, but rather become a person of value." And Chris, all of my failures in life have come from trying to become a person of success, of going to law school, of going into corporate finance, of getting into commercial real estate. I was trying to become a person of success. But when I finally realized that that wasn't going to work for me, and I realized this quote of just becoming a person of value, that changed everything. And that's what Entrepreneur on Fire is. It is just value. All it is a free, consistent, valuable podcast every single day with an inspiring story from an incredible entrepreneur, some awesome life lessons, some great guidance, some great feedback, some great business tips, tools, and tactics 7 days a week. And when I went at it that way of just trying to be a person of value, everything changed. I went from struggling to just thriving. And I went from, eking out whatever I was making, to now a business that's going to generate over $2.5 million in 2014 alone, from just focusing on providing value and not focusing on the success part. The success part follows value. That's really where the key is here. You're not going to get to success by chasing success. It's going to be attracted to you if you lead with value. So that's what I do nowadays, Chris. I just provide free, valuable content to people. So, every single week we do a completely free live podcast workshop where we teach people how to create, grow, and monetize their own podcast. I know you've been to it.
Yes.
It's a blast. It's one of my favorite things that I do. And we just deliver over an hour of pure podcasting value about how to create, grow, and monetize your podcast. And at the end of it, I take people through our community, Podcasters Paradise, which you're also a part of, Chris, and let people know that if they want to take things to the next level and be part of an amazing community, they can, and we give them the opportunity to join at that point. But even above and beyond that, I've just launched a podcast called the Free Podcast Course Podcast, where it's just 20 episodes where I just teach people how to create, grow, and monetize their podcast via a podcast. It's completely free. It's it's a course that I'm delivering via podcasting, which I love.
Where do they find that?
It's just anywhere you can find podcasts.
Okay.
On the website.
YouTube,
it's all
iTunes,
over.
Whatever. Great.
Yep. All the directories.
This is, I promise, folks listening, this is not a plug that John and I talked about beforehand, but before our recording started today, I was telling him about how much I've enjoyed Podcasters Paradise, and it's given me hope in something that's so hard to figure out, but now has become so simple. And all I wanted to do was be able to build a community to grow in my own hope and share hope with other people. And boy, the nuts and bolts of figuring out how to do that, these guys have just put it right out there. I love it.
Thank you. Well, it's our heart and our soul we pour into this community. We absolutely look at Podcasters Paradise as a family, and we love being part of the community. And above and beyond that, I also am offering a completely free podcast course, which people can find at freepodcastcourse.com, where that just takes people through 15 video tutorials of how to do just that, create, grow, and monetize your podcast. And I'm all about just providing incredibly valuable free content out there of something that I'm inspired by. And, I'm inspired by podcasting. I've seen what it's done for me and for my business, and I want other people like you, Chris, to be able to have the tools necessary to inspire others, to have a ripple effect on this incredible world. And that's exactly what you're doing with your show. And, I'm honored to have played a part in that. And that's exactly why we create all this completely free material that, of course, we are looking to lead people into Podcasters Paradise, which is our premium community where we have a private Facebook group where people can engage with each other, ask questions. We do a Pay It Forward Friday every Friday where we exchange honest iTunes and Stitcher Radio reviews to really get people's podcasts into the spotlight, which is critical. We have over 200 video tutorials. We do monthly webinars with today's top podcasters. We just had James Altucher, Lewis House, Pat Flynn, Amy Porterfield, Michael Hyatt, Ramit Sethi. I do a monthly Q&A webinar for anybody in Podcasters Paradise to just come on and ask questions of me, and I answer every question in this live Q&A session. We do an accountability matchmaker program where we will match you up with somebody that's in a similar situation to you and your podcast. And we just have a lot of fun. We have all these opportunities for you, the podcaster, to really thrive.
So let me put this in the form that people can use this for sharing hope. And here's where this goes. Listening, when you're done, go to eofire.com and just look at what John's done. There's so much there that you can find that's valuable for you today, obviously. But if you look at what's going on, he's sharing hope constantly. Sharing, literally sharing. It's giving. There's so much content there that John has been able to just share and give in so many different venues that make it usable and tangible, something I can do right now. And part of gaining hope for yourself and part of gaining hope for those around you and sharing that is making it tangible. What can I do? Is there a checklist? John's given so many checklists on podcasts, so many just forms. Here, just do this, copy this. Here's my email I send out to people. Copy it. Wow. If people came to us in life in the hardest situations, if it's a divorce or loss of a loved one or chemical addiction, whatever you're coming back from, just a hard, crappy day, and somebody says, man, come on with me. I'm going for a walk. Let's hit the neighborhood and talk it out. That's so helpful. It's easy steps. So John, question number 5, tell us how we can take real core steps, 1, 2, 3, ABC type stuff to just start becoming people of hope or sharing hope better.
So there's a quote, and we've kind of shared some pretty powerful quotes, but I think this would be a great one to leave everybody with. Chris, if you want to be, do. If you want to be somebody that has hope, actually seek hope. If you want to be somebody that gives hope, then seek out those who are giving hope and emulate them. We are all standing here on the shoulders of giants. And I'll tell you that when I first wanted to podcast, I had no idea how to podcast, but I had to just podcast. If I wanted to be a podcaster, I had to podcast. If you want to be an author, you have to write. If you want to be someone that gives hope, you have to start giving hope. If you want to be, do. It's really a simple phrase, but so few people actually take that action. So for me, Chris, for you, with the medium that we're using of podcasting to deliver hope, to deliver inspiration, to deliver a message, our voice, our brand to the world, we are taking action. And that's really what I want to leave people with, is that if you want to join me in sharing hope, take action. If you want to be a person of value, deliver value. Anything that you can think of, if you just remember that core phrase, if you want to be, do, you have to start doing it. Kobe Bryant, he did not make his first foul shot, but he kept shooting foul shots. He became a good foul shooter. Paul McCartney did not strike a perfect G chord the first time he strummed a guitar, but he wanted to be a musician, so he kept doing it. Anybody that you see that's achieved anything has actually, number one, been horrible at it when they started. There's no way to avoid that. And number 2, kept at it. They kept doing it, and now they're amazing.
Ooh, I like it. If you want to be, do. Did you say it was Einstein?
I don't even know.
I thought, Einstein was the one you mentioned. I want to look that up. I'll put that in the show notes because I need to find out who did that. It's probably a lot of people.
If you can't find anybody to attribute it to,
it's John Lee Dumas.
I'll take it all.
That's right. All right. So if you want to be, do. That is critical, and in every interview we've had so far, it comes down to action. It comes down to getting up off the couch, out of your brain, out of the spiral, and taking action. John Lee Dumas is a phenomenal example of that. So Next thing for you, John, this is not one of the normal 5, but it's in there. We like to know if you're just in the funk and you got to have something rocking in your ears, what are you going to play when you need to get things going?
Are we talking music?
Music, yeah. What kind of music you listen to if you're just going to kick it in gear?
I'll tell you right now, and this actually leads perfectly into an incredible documentary that I just watched that's free on Netflix for anybody to watch. It's the Eagles documentary. It's unbelievable. So just search Eagles in Netflix, watch that 3-hour epic tribute to the Eagles. And that will be my answer, is I would listen to a little Eagles, maybe a little peaceful, easy feeling.
That's great. I will reach out to the Eagles and see if they will let us roll this show out with that. That'd be a lot of fun if they'd give
Don Henley, just direct line to him.
Okay, that's fantastic. Man, I love it. Thanks so much, John, for your time. I know we still have just 1 or 2 minutes left, so if you're going to be listening to the podcast and the next one that rolls up about I Share Hope hits your earbuds, who do you want to hear from? Who would you want to have the same 5 questions asked and hear their answers?
Yeah.
Who's out there for you? Who would you want to hear from?
I would want to hear from Don Henley of the Eagles.
I love it.
So you can just kind of combine that.
There's a lot of reasons to call him. Okay.
with a request to be on your show as well.
That'd be really fun. And then I'll ask him what he wants to hear when he's rolling his show
I'll give you
out.
a more reachable one, though.
Yeah.
Somebody that I love who's doing some amazing things in the mobile space is Greg Hickman of greghickman.me. So he'd be a great person to have on the show.
I'll look him up as well. That's fantastic.
And Chris, before I do forget, I'd love to give your audience a gift because I'm honored to be on your show.
That was the next question. I want to know, first of all, how they can reach you, and then also if there's anything you can offer, because I know you do that in all of your shows that I listen to. You always hand something out that's very valuable and a good example of sharing hope. So how can we reach you, and what do you have?
Well, all the magic happens at eofire.com, and that's going to be a really easy lead into the gift that I have for your listeners, just as a thank you for listening this far into the episode and for hearing my voice. We've talked a lot about podcasting, about how I offer a lot of free stuff. Something that's not free that's out there is my book, Podcast Launch, which is the #1 ranked book in all of Amazon. In podcasting, with over 300 5-star reviews. Comes with 15 video tutorials. But I want to give that for free to your listeners. And Chris, for them to grab that gift, just go to eofire.com/gift. No email opt-in. It's just sitting there waiting for you completely for free.
Wow.
And I'm excited.
That's great, John. I've not read that book yet, and I've heard you mention it a few times. Am I allowed to get one of those for free as well?
Absolutely.
Okay, that's great. Man, thanks for your time, John. I hope that sunny California is treating you well. And I am so glad that you spent some time with us today. Can't wait to share this.
Thanks, Chris.
Talk to you soon, John. Oh, one more thing, John. Before we're off the air, we're going on the interview. I'll cut it right there. Can you say for me, I'm John Lee Dumas, and I share hope?
Yes. Hey, this is John Lee Dumas of Entrepreneur on Fire, and I share hope.
Perfect. John, thanks for
your time. They don't call me One Take Johnny for no reason.
I think, have you ever practiced that before? Come on. All right, so the second fellow you mentioned there that's doing a lot in the online world, is there a way that you can connect me via...
Yeah, shoot me an email, and I'll CC you on them.
Same email I've been using up to date?
Yep.
Okay.
You
Sounds great. Thanks, sir. Have a good one.
Cool,
Thanks
buddy.
for your time, buddy.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
You've just listened to I Share Hope. If you're ready to make a change, head to our website at isharehope.com and claim your free copy of the top 10 actions of hope from world leaders to use hope in your own life. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.